Hey guys, today I want to talk about Pokemon TCG pull rates. That's specifically the pull rates of pulling some of the top chase cards of various sets. What should they be? What's a good pull rate? Should they be easier, harder? What sets had good pull rates? What sets had bad pull rates? We're going to talk about some of these things today, so stay tuned. We're going to jump right in. All right, so if you're not familiar, Pokemon's been around since 1999, and back in the day, the pull rates were actually pretty easy. At the time, there was only 3 rarities of cards. There was a common, uncommon, and rare. With base set, to pull that rare holo, it was a 1 in 3 chance to pull any holo in the set. And of course, you didn't know which one you were going to get. Everybody wanted the Charizard back in the day, but yeah, the holo rate wasn't that hard. It was 1 in 3 packs. It worked really well for kids too, because you didn't have to search super hard to be able to get a holo. And back then we were not ripping tons of packs. I can tell you that right now. Growing up in a middle class family, I felt blessed just to be able to have some Pokemon cards and open some Pokemon cards, but it wasn't like a common occurrence to get to open packs. It was pretty special to get to open one. So anyway, fast forward to today, or even to just a recent set, I want to cover Evolving Skies. So Evolving Skies is a great example of the Sword and Shield era, which a lot of the Sword and Shield alt arts have held tremendous value, partly because the cards are amazing, they're just incredible looking, but also partly because the pull rates are so tough on these cards, and so it's very hard to pull these cards. So for instance, one of these alt art Vs from the set, like the Umbreon V, Dragonite V, there's also, Espeon V, Glaceon V, Sylveon V, there's a whole bunch of them in the set. To get any of them, it was 1 in 91 packs, which is almost 1 in 3 booster boxes, which is pretty wild. That's a very hard pull rate. To get a specific one that you're searching for, like if you're really trying to get that Dragonite V, it's going to be about a 1 in 1,000 packs. Guys, that's wild. Very, very hard pull rate. Even at $3 a pack, that's like $3,000 worth of packs just to pull this card. And the Dragonite V is a fraction of that price. So pretty wild when you think about it. The alt art V Maxes were much harder. It was about 1 in 332 packs to pull any of them. So if you were searching for that Umbreon V Max, you had to pull almost 2,000 packs to get that card. Insane. So even at the crazy high price that we're seeing right now, I think the raw price for that card is roughly $1,700. If you pulled right at that 1 in 2,000 packs and you got each pack for $3 back in the day when Evolving Skies first came out, you could blow $6,000 trying to pull that card. And of course, at the time, that card would have probably been worth, $500 or less, right? So you're always getting a fraction of the actual value out if you pull at this pull rate. Of course, everybody's hoping they're going to get lucky and they just happen to pull something great. The pull rate overall for Evolving Skies was about 8 hits in 36 packs. So it was about 1 in 4 where you'd get some sort of hit, but most of those hits were those V cards that a lot of people were not interested in. So even to get like a full art, which again, a lot of times people are not that excited about these full art cards. Look at that, like 1 in 6% that you're going to get one of these. And a lot of people don't care about the rainbows. They don't care about the full arts. They don't care about the gold. So you're really heavily weighted on, are you going to pull an alt art or an alt art VMAX? It's kind of an all or nothing set. That's really what Evolving Skies is. You either win the jackpot or you get nothing. I think Evolving Skies makes for an incredible set collectible wise, but it sucks to open, guys. Hands down. I don't like opening Evolving Skies. I wouldn't recommend it. It's brutal. So let's fast forward to Scarlet and Violet. So there was a lot of complaint during the Sword and Shield era about pull rates. Now the later Sword and Shield sets had trainer galleries. That did help a lot. The trainer gallery started with Brilliant Stars, I believe was the first one that had it. So you had trainer galleries in Brilliant Stars, Astral Radiance, Lost Origin, and Silver Tempest. So those 4 sets. And so that really helped the hit rates. You could get a pretty sweet trainer gallery card out of the deal. And a lot of those like non-textured trainer galleries kind of got replaced with illustration rares in the Scarlet and Violet era. And illustration rares have been pretty consistently about 1 in 12 to 13 packs every set throughout the Scarlet and Violet era. And then of course we also have the special illustration rares, which are the textured cards, which are kind of a replacement for alt arts, but they've been much easier to pull than alt arts typically. So I find this really interesting because I just told you that, hey, the pull rate for an illustration rare is 1 in 12 or 1 in 13. So why is Magikarp 1 in 480? Well, that's because of the variance of the number of illustration rares in the set. There's so many illustration rares in Paldea Evolve. It has the most illustration rares of any set so far in Scarlet and Violet era. It's hard to pull that specific card. And because of that, if you look at the price of like Magikarp, he's $247 right now. Very expensive card. Whereas some of these other lesser liked illustration rares, 31, 23, 22, 22. And again, Paldea has really taken off because some of these were even just like $5 a while ago. Sudowoodo's like 17. Ice Cube, $14. A lot of these have exploded in price, but a lot of these for a long time were sub $10. Very cheap, right? But you have so many of these, this is just the first page, and this is including some full arts and some special illustration rares mixed in. But it can be really tough to pull that Magikarp specifically, right? And in my mind, people were complaining at the time that Scarlet and Violet Base, Paldea Evolved, Obsidian Flames, they were complaining that the pull rates were too easy because any special illustration rare is 1 in 32 right here, you can see. So less than a booster box, you would pull a special illustration rare. In fact, every Paldea Evolved booster box I've ever seen has at least one special illustration rare. Sometimes it has 2, which is amazing. And sometimes you'll have a hyper rare in there, etc. Usually 3 illustration rares. So very high hit rate. It's pretty sweet that you're going to get a good amount of hits out of a booster box of Paldea Evolved. You'll get like 12 to 15 hits or something like that out of it, which is really cool. But a lot of people complained that was just too easy. It wasn't enough of a chase. They were used to the Sword and Shield era where they wanted those really hard hit rates. So we fast forward and we have Obsidian Flames. We have the same pull rates in Obsidian Flames as Paldea Evolved, but the set is so much smaller. So now all of a sudden to pull this specific Charizard, the special illustration rare, is only 216 packs. Whereas in Paldea Evolved, if you wanted to pull like the Iono, is 1 in 480 because Paldea Evolved had more special illustration rares. So you take that 1 in 32 times the number of special illustration rares and you get the 480. Well, since Obsidian Flames is so small, such a small set, you basically, can pull a specific card much easier, right? Similarly with 151, it's a specialty set, so you didn't have booster boxes, but you still had that 1 in 32 pull rate for a special illustration rare. And a specific one would be 1 in 225. So the Charizard special illustration rare from 151 that everybody wants is really only about 1 in 225 packs to pull. It's actually pretty dang easy. It's about the same as the Obsidian Flames Charizard, and yet look at the Obsidian Flames Charizard, it's like $69, whereas the Scarlet and Violet 151 Charizard is $256. So right here, this price is really not because it's difficult to pull, it's really just because a lot of people want this card. And I think a lot of people are mastering this set, which is driving even more demand for this card specifically, right? But there's a couple of cards, this is kind of what you see is that when a card's easier to pull, you'll see this kind of lower price, right? $69 for this Charizard special illustration rare. Paldea Evolved, the Iono is $68. And the Iono, it's interesting, is much harder to pull than this Charizard. So you get a little bit of Charizard power going on right here. But yeah, so it's very interesting. Scarlet and Violet 151, very popular set. The price of the singles right now is very high, very hot. You can see here Blastoise 86, Venusaur 76, Zapdos 60. Even these illustration rares have really gone up in price, like a lot. Charmander 55, Squirtle 53, pretty wild, right? But these are not very hard cards to pull. Specific illustration rare is only 188 packs. But again, you're getting 1 in every 12 packs usually. So I find this really interesting because, my experience personally is that opening any of these sets I just mentioned, Paldea Evolved, the Obsidian Flames, or this a 151, much more fun than opening any Sword and Shield set except for Crown Zenith. And Crown Zenith specifically had really high pull rates. But I think these high pull rates are fun because you're at least getting something out of it. And you have a pretty good shot of getting something really cool, right? Like 1 in 32 packs to pull a 151 special illustration rare. That's pretty awesome. You know, it may be hard to pull the specific one you want, but at least you're probably going to get something cool, you know, in about a booster box worth of packs, which is great. You know, now fast forward to Surging Sparks. Apparently there were too many people during Scarlet and Violet that were complaining that the hit rates were too easy. And you do see that the chase cards are cheaper, right? A lot of those chase cards from the, you know, these earlier sets are cheaper. You know, Magikarp specifically is pretty expensive because people really want this card, but it's about 1 in 480 pack pull, which is tough, right? Similarly, you know, in 151, you got 1 in 200 and something packs for the Charizard EX, or like 1 in 225 for the Blastoise EX, and they're holding decent value. You know, it's not like these cards are cheap, but they're just not as expensive as some of these Surging Sparks cards, right? Because now when you look at a special illustration rare in Surging Sparks, it takes about 1 in 87 packs. That's like 2.5 booster boxes. 2 in about a third, something like that. It's over 2 booster boxes to pull a special illustration rare. That means now, this is a real bummer, guys. You can go spend $260 on a Surging Sparks booster box and pull no special illustration rare in it. Surging Sparks is starting to feel a little bit closer to that Evolving Skies feel, where all of the value is in these top few high tier rarity cards. And if you don't pull those, you get kind of skunked. And yet the market seems to be wanting that, you know, that really hard chase, because here you got the Pikachu, $442, the Latias EX, $233, Melodic EX, $143. You can see though that these prices fall off real fast. Once you get past these top 3 special illustration rares, the next the next special illustration rare down is this Hydreigon, 81, Lisa's Appeal, 60, Alolan Executor, 55. So it's like only these really top chase cards are holding the value. So what do we do with all this, right? Like, I guess the question then is, what is the right pull rate? Was it Evolving Skies? Was it Paldea evolved through, you know, Obsidian Flames, 151? Is it Surging Sparks? Like, what is the right pull rate for Pokemon? And unfortunately, every time you talk to somebody, you're going to get a different opinion. There's a lot of people that they love that really top rarity chase. They want something super hard to pull. They basically want the Sword and Shield type feel to every set. Me, I tend to lean more towards, I want to pull stuff out of my packs. I hate getting skunked. There's nothing worse than you open 8 packs and you get nothing, or you get some worthless 25-cent EX card that I don't even like the artwork on it anyway, you know? So I love Scarlet and Violet just in general. That whole era to me has been way more fun to open. Adding the illustration rares and just having more hits in general has been great. And I actually like the higher hit rate special illustration rare personally. I think it's great to have about 1 in a box that you pull. It's great to know that if you open a booster box, you're going to get some sort of special illustration rare. To me, the sweet spot between the extreme of, hey, we want something really hard to chase, and we want something that is, you know, I want to be able to pull something. I want pulls when I'm opening my packs. I think Paldea Evolved and Paradox Rift were about the sweet spot for me. And let me show you what I'm talking about. All right, Pokelector, love this website. I've got it kind of zoomed in, so it looks a little goofy, but this will make it easier for you guys to see the cards. Paldea Evolved's got 193 cards, but then another additional 86 secret. And these are the ones that we all pretty much chase and care about, right? So if we scroll way down here, we get into these, we get into the illustration rares. And you can see there's some absolutely gorgeous illustration rares, starting here with the Heracross. Of course, Magikarp is the top chase in the set. I personally really love this Meryl a lot. I think this whole Baxcalibur line by Komiya is super cool. You got a Miss Magius in here, Raichu. So even like some of these older cards from the first and second generations. Tyranitar, I love this Sudowoodo where he's hiding like a tree. Beautiful, beautiful cards in Paldea Evolved. the Flamigo. It's very nice. So you have a total of 36 illustration rares in this set. And because of that, so yeah, if you take your 36 illustration rares and you multiply it by 13, you get 1 in 468. So they have 1 in 480 here for Magikarp. I think it's probably technically 1 in 468, or this 1 in 13 is maybe like an averaged up, like it's rounded up. So in any case, that's why it's hard specifically to pull the Magikarp. But what I love about that is that about every 13 packs, you're going to pull one of these gorgeous illustration rares. Even if you're not getting the one you want, there's just a lot of really beautiful cards here to collect. And they're full art cards drawn by real artists. It's not CGI graphics. These are artists just doing a phenomenal job, and you can collect all these beautiful cards, right? And then with the special illustration rare, there are 15 of them in the set. And so even though you can pull one every 32 packs, you're going to get about one per booster box, it could be really hard for you to pull the specific one you want. So let's say you're really chasing the Iono right here, which was a common big chase. That's going to be, like we saw back here, about 1 in 480 packs, because there's just so many special illustration rares. But wouldn't you rather, even if you're chasing Iono, wouldn't you rather along the way pull maybe a Wo-Chien EX, a Quackavall EX, a Squawkabilly? I mean, wouldn't you rather get hits while you're chasing Iono? So to me, having an easier pull rate for the rarity, but then more of that rarity in the set, makes it just way more fun to open. And you get a little bit more value, you get a little more incremental value instead of it being all or nothing. Paradox Rift might be even more of the sweet spot. Paradox Rift had a 1 in 47 chase for special illustration rares. The illustration rare itself stayed about 1 in 13. Paradox Rift only had 84 secrets, so 2 less, and that's because it has 2 less illustration rares, but they're almost the same size set. Paradox Rift has 34 illustration rares, whereas Paldea Evolved has 36. And look at these are absolutely gorgeous, guys. Like everything from this Toad Scroll, I love this. The Mantike is incredible. Veluza, Blitzly is even really cool, very underrated. Spathra. The Groudon, of course, is absolutely legendary. This is the top chase of the set. Freaking love this card. Been wanting that one since the beginning. Finally got a PSA 10 of that one. A couple of them, actually. Garbodor, I love this. Reminds me of like 90s cartoons. It's just great. Steelix, helping the construction crew. Always been a big Steelix fan. Yveltal's a gorgeous card. The Iron Jugulis, the Porygon Z. There's so many amazing cards in this set. I'm always talking up Paradox Rift. I just generally love it. And the great thing about that is if you're chasing the Groudon, again, it's going to be about 1 in 442 packs to pull that Groudon. So there you go, 1 in 442, which is what they said. So that's still pretty tough to pull the Groudon. That's not an easy card to pull. It's the reason why it's a $100 card. But now let's scroll down to the special illustration rares, okay? Because these are always kind of the top chases for most sets. There's 15 of them, guys, just like Paldea Evolved, and there are some gorgeous ones. I've always really loved this Parasol Lady. If you're a waifu collector, I think that's like the best one. Altaria EX, absolutely gorgeous. This card has popped off recently. I've always been an enormous fan of the Roaring Moon. It's been like my top SIR chase in the set. Iron Valiant is like a close second for me. Love the Tapu Koko, even love the Sandy Shocks, love the Garchomp, the Golisopod, the Tulip that we missed down here. Beautiful set. So many really cool special illustration rares you can pull. But if you're chasing Roaring Moon like most people did for the longest period of time, it's going to be about 1 in 712 packs. Guys, do you realize that's very similar pull rate to the Giratina V Alt Art from Lost Origin? It's very similar pull rate to the Lugia V from Silver Tempest. It's very similar to a lot of Alt Art chases from Sword and Shield. But on the way to you chasing this Roaring Moon, with every about 47 packs, you're going to pull some sort of special illustration rare. And you're going to get one of these other really cool cards that are in the set. So I think the people that want these really tough pull rates need to ask themselves, like, is there not another way to do it? Like, variants and large sets, I think, is a better way to do it. I like when Pokemon creates these larger sets that have high pull rates, so you're getting lots of really cool cards, But those top chase cards, those specific ones that people really want, you know, that 1 or 2 or 3 cards that everybody wants from a set, those are still hard to pull because the pull rates for a specific card, when you factor how many of that rarity are in the set, go up. So that's my whole take on the rarity equation. I think that's the sweet spot. And I think, unfortunately, Pokemon has taken a detour and gone backwards with Surging Sparks and with Prismatic Evolutions, and they've made really hard to pull any special illustration rare. And I don't know, there's people in the market, they love that. They like that Pikachu is a $450 card. I don't know if Pikachu should be a $450 card, like, especially right after release, like maybe after it's appreciated over a number of years, but like, I don't really love this like artificial, let's just make the card extremely expensive personally. I don't know. I would love to hear what you think. I think this is a very divisive topic. My personal opinion is I want these big sets like Paldea Evolved and Paradox Rift, and I want these kind of easier pull rates like those 2 sets had. Either the Paldea Evolved, if you think that's a little too easy, then maybe go Paradox Rift, where it's just a little bit harder. But I think it makes for a great chase if you're trying to go for those specific cards, but there's just lots of really beautiful and cool cards that you can pull. So again, leave your comment down below. Let me know what you think. Let me know what your favorite pull rates have been, what set or what your solution might be to this problem. And if you liked the comment, please hit that like button. Please subscribe. I'd love to have you join me for some other chats. I talk about all kinds of stuff, and I do some goofy pack opening videos. So come join me in my journey collecting and investing in Pokemon, and I will see you guys later.